At 72, Amitabh Bachchan is arguably still the most famous name in India's multi-billion-dollar Hindi language film industry. To his many devoted fans, he's far more than just an actor. He's an Indian institution, a legend. They mob him on the streets, wait outside his house each Sunday to see him. A prolific user of social media, he has 13 million Twitter followers. That popularity and fame has given him access to leading politicians and decision makers. And he himself briefly entered the world of politics in the 1980s. By his own admission, it wasn't a successful career move. But his work in film and television continues, as does his influence. Bachchan has made more than 150 movies during his 45-year career. His latest film, Amitabh, is on release now. He's a passionate defender of Hindi cinema, known the world over as Bollywood, despite accusations that it's sexist, demeans women, and fails to deal with serious and political issues. Bollywood, past and present, religion, and Indian politics. We'll discuss all this and more as Amitabh Bachchan talks to Al Jazeera. Amitabh Bachchan, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera. Can I start by asking you, is it true that you actually dislike the term Bollywood, and if so, why?
Well, I think that the Indian film industry has its own identity. It's very individual. I don't see any reason why it should be compared to another name from another part of the world. But that's the way it goes. Some smart journalist coined up the name, and now it's in the Oxford Dictionary, so it's going to be there for eternity now.
You just have to put up with it. Amitabh is, I think, your first movie due for the release in 2015. What attracted you to this particular film?
The director, R. Balki, and me have worked together in several projects. This is the third one that we're doing together. We've already done two. He's a very unusual thinker, thinks up very unusual subjects, topics, provides a lot of challenge to artists that are associated with the film. And Amitabh is no different from some of the others that I did. He's actually from the advertising world. He runs Low Lintas in India. And I used to be associated in a lot of endorsement campaigns and brand development campaigns, and that's when he decided that he wanted to direct a movie. He came to me with the script, and we said okay. We went ahead, which was, well, in terms of what Indian audiences normally expect from Hindi cinema, a little different. It was a love story between an elderly gentleman and a younger lady, and his age being even more than the lady's father's age. So it was
big
quite
difference.
Unusual. Yeah, big difference. The second one he did was a film called Pa, which was the story of progeria, the illness where young children do not live beyond 13 years of age. And he wanted me to play that 13-year-old kid, and I was really wondering what he'd been drinking or smoking when he came up with this idea. But prosthetics is a wonderful makeup technology, and he actually converted me into a 13-year-old. And then he wanted my son to play my father's role.
Very confusing.
Very confusing. But it was a great experience. And now Amitabh. Amitabh is, I believe, a different plot altogether. It's a plot that perhaps has not been seen in Indian cinema, perhaps in world cinema too, where I shall be giving my voice to the leading man of the film.
Dhanush. Played by Dhanush.
That's right, yeah.
Who he plays, his character is an actor, but an actor who's mute and deaf, so therefore your voice, which you're well known for, you know, this deep baritone voice.
I wasn't supposed to disclose so many details,
I'm so
but
sorry.
no, it's fine. But yes, he's someone that needs a voice. He's someone that aspires to be an actor, but he doesn't have the qualities. And how a journalist who is being played by Akshay, the leading lady in the film, decides to bring these two people together. I'm a very frustrated, wasted old man. I was a bit of a drunk, but he has a voice, and she decides to get them together, and how success can be achieved if both these factors came together.
So it's like a symbiotic relationship almost. Each needs the other.
And then, of course, there's the problem of ego that comes in the end. Each one thinking that the other is present because of my qualities, and how that is resolved or not resolved is what the story is all about.
You have, how should I put it, a legion of devoted fans. I gather they wait outside your house every Sunday for you to come out and say hello to them. They queued around the block for many kilometres when you were ill in hospital some years ago. Idolisation is an overused term, I think, these days, but they do treat you as some sort of idol. I'm wondering, I know you're used to it, but how disconcerting is that as being one man being held up by so many people?
I think it's a factor that's quite prevalent in the Indian movie industry. It's not just me. There are many actors that have the same following and same amount of attraction and attention for well-wishers. Mine has been somewhat unusual. In '82, I had an accident during the filming of a film of mine, and I almost died. And ever since I recovered from that, every Sunday, the people and the well-wishers have been collecting outside my house, and it's in the evening. It's something that's gone on for almost 35 years or 32 years, every Sunday. And I just go out and meet them, wave out to them, just sign a few autographs. I think that's the least that I can do.
I guess also these days as well, you're very up on technology. I've seen that you write a blog, you tweet all the time. Is that a way of keeping in touch with the fans, and do you enjoy that modern side of the industry?
Well, I hadn't realized that this was something that would keep me in touch with the fans, but having been introduced to it, I felt that I'd never had an opportunity to know my fans as a face, never heard them, and I thought that this was a fantastic medium to be able to talk to them, to know about them, and to share with them a lot of things. It started off purely as a, well, not really a joke, but something that came out of the blue. Someone said you should have a website because there are many websites that are corrupted websites in your name, and you need to put one up to give the facts out. And they said it will take about 6 months. I said, can I do something tomorrow? They said you can write a blog. I wrote a couple of sentences and I got a response, and then I replied to the response and I got 2 more, and then it just carried on. So now I'm on 2,479 days every day. I've been writing it without a break, and I have some very dedicated well-wishers whom I have termed as my extended family. I've given them a title as EF, and they come to the blog, they write, and I've designed the blog where I can respond to their responses. So there's a little bracket where I can talk to them. I now have the ability to meet them. They travel sometimes to India. If I'm here, the EF from London will come and meet me, and it's just a wonderful group of people, a wonderful family. We exchange ideas, views, thoughts. Some of them are brilliant writers. They have incredible writing abilities about any subject in the world, about my films, about what I'm doing, whether they liked my performances, whether they disliked it. And it's just a fantastic exchange of views and ideas. And Twitter, of course, is something that I started later on. That's about 1,750 days. And on Facebook, it's 835, 40 days.
As we both know, the film industry, the entertainment industry, it can be very superficial at times, and certainly it gives and creates great wealth and privilege for some people. How do you go about reconciling that with the fact that obviously there is a lot of poverty in the world, especially in your country, India? That must be quite hard when you actually look at it like that.
Yeah, I think there are deficiencies in almost every nation in the world. We are conscious of it. We try to do as best as we can. There are many institutions, many NGOs which work towards various social causes. I'm involved in several of them. And I think we're all very committed and are aware. And to say that, you know, just because you're in an industry which is presuming that this industry is wealthy and therefore we don't do anything for them is a fallacy. I think that all of us are involved in many such associations which work for the poor people as well. They appoint celebrities from the Indian film industry to be involved in campaigns which are perhaps health-oriented. I myself am United Nations Ambassador for polio. We fought for 8 years, and finally India is now polio-free. I'm involved in the awareness and eradication of tuberculosis, which has just been started. I will be doing hepatitis, which is also a very dangerous ailment. And I'm involved with awareness of diabetes, which actually has started from London. It's the Right Honourable Keith Vaz, Member of Parliament, and is heading that, and we work together. So we keep doing these acts. I work for Save the Tigers. In the past 2 years, we were down to about 1,411 tigers only. And just a week ago, they've done a research and found that the numbers have actually doubled. So one feels very happy when things like this happen. Yeah, I don't really know how we can relate to every subject that needs attention. But I think suffice to say that we are aware of it and conscious of the fact.
The Hindi language film industry obviously has this very successful formula of romance, dancing, music, feel-good films. Do you wish that perhaps the industry also tackled more of the social and political issues affecting India?
I think perhaps there's misinformation on that. I think that every film is made as an entertainment film, and you're right about that. The poverty that you just talked of, the poor man that works, the common man that works on the streets every day and has a very meager earning. When he wants to relax, he likes to go into a cinema hall, spend his earning, and watch something that is delightful, which is fantasized, which has music and dance and color. It would be horrid if we were to make a film on his own life, which is what perhaps you're looking at as referring to something more sensitive. But there are people that make sensitive films, and we do tackle many issues that are socially and morally concerning India. Indeed, all our films do. We always show that good will prevail over evil. We have a very vast and strong cultural identity, over 5,000 years of culture. And that is always depicted in our films, whether it is relationship between parents, our attitude towards our children, towards brother and sister. We have festivals that commemorate that. And that's always played up. We give poetic justice in 2.5 hours, which you and me will never receive in a lifetime.
That's a very good way of putting it. Some critics say there is a misogynistic attitude prevalent among certain areas in India. And obviously the world has been very shocked by the recent rape and murder of several women, high-profile cases. The movies that you star in do tend to have the most amazingly, stunningly beautiful women who seem unattainable, they're flirtatious, they can be tantalizing. Is there a sense that Indian men are influenced in their attitude towards women by what is portrayed in the movies, do you think?
That would be a misconception.
Right.
Film is a 20th century phenomena. But to say that all these horrible acts never existed before that would be wrong. Whether it's violence, whether it is sex, whether it is rape. But yes, we have a very pertinent censor board. We have guidelines which we follow. And if there's anything that we feel is perhaps going to be damaging for society, we take corrective measures. But it would be wrong to say that we are not conscious of the fact of women, and I don't think that there's a misogynistic attitude at all. We have women directors, we have stories that are woven around the central character, which happens to be a woman. There are many issues of, say, untouchability, of caste, creed, religion, that are always looked upon in a very compassionate manner. I would not agree with this. If it is an accusation, I would not agree with it, because I think we are conscious of it. And I think that the more we have the liberty of communication, which has increased during the past 10, 15 years, a lot more effort is being made. Also, the reverse happens. A lot of people come to know of things which perhaps would have gone unnoticed. Not to say that that's good, but I do feel that because of the factor of television being so prominent, we have 800 channels in one country. It sometimes is difficult to contain the content, and perhaps it gets a little more advertised than it should be.
It's interesting. I mean, clearly the movie industry has moved with the times, I think, in India. Obviously, in previous times, there was less kissing scene, there were less intimate scenes. That seems to have changed recently. Do you think that reflects a changing attitude within India and a change?
If you look at it during the 4 or 5 decades that I've been in the industry, yes, I will look at it differently. I myself have refrained from it, and I will continue to do so, but that's my own individual attitude. The modern generation, the younger generation today, feels absolutely comfortable with it, and so do the viewers, and so does the censors. It's something that I may be wrong in assessing this, but I just feel that because of the advent of television, because of the liberalization of the economy, because of the fact that there are so many mediums now present, where you have internet, you have television, you have mobile phones, and you have access to everything that's happening in any part of the world almost immediately, there must be a feeling of not wanting to be different from what the rest of the world is doing. We will have a lot of restraint, but I think that because it's available and people find it not too wrong, that is why perhaps you see these intimate scenes in cinema. There is a dichotomy, because at times we are accused of not being realistic, and then when we do, there is always the accusation that you're showing too much. So where do you stop?
Always a difficult one. Earlier in your career, now you appeared in a film called, let me get this right, Amar Akbar Anthony, about 3 brothers who were separated at birth, and they grew up with different forms of religion, Hinduism, Islam and Christianity.
Right.
Some have said that it can be viewed as Gandhi's vision of what a secular utopian society should be all about. Do you think that India can ever reflect that ideal, given obviously we've seen the religious and ethnic tensions that do occur?
We are constitutionally a secular society. It's in our constitution, and we live up to it, and we're very proud of it, and we're very happy with it. Yes, there will always be the odd incident, but to say that cinema reflects that or encourages that would be wrong. I think that Amar Akbar Anthony is a wonderful example of people coming together. I've always felt that cinema is a great integrator rather than one that disintegrates people.
Well, it's like sport, isn't it? It unites people.
Absolutely, yeah. When you sit inside a darkened hall to watch a film, you never question the caste, creed, religion of the person sitting next to you. Yet you see the same film, you enjoy the same jokes, you laugh at the same jokes, you cry at the same sentiment, sing the same songs. I doubt if there are many institutions left in the world which can boast of such integration. So I just feel very proud to be a small part of that fraternity that encourages something like this, rather than look upon it as something that would disintegrate. And as far as the country is concerned, we are going to be a secular country. We shall maintain that. And that is our DNA, so to say. And Gandhiji was absolutely right that. And I recently read a statement, rather today itself, when President Obama left India after his visit. He said that so long as India doesn't allow religion to interfere in its growth, India will grow substantially.
It's interesting you mention, obviously, President Obama's been to India. He met up with Prime Minister Modi. They had tea together. I was quite struck by the fact that both these men came from very modest backgrounds, and they've gone up the career ladder and gone on to lead their nations. India was never particularly known as a place where there was social mobility, that somebody from a disadvantaged background could move up. Do you think that is changing now?
It's never been very prominent. I think that the history of India is always been very respectful to an individual, to his qualifications, to his leadership qualities. There isn't that divide, so to say, between the elitists and the people down there. I think there is an equal balance, and there's equal opportunity. It's a very large and diverse country. You have to understand that, with different languages, different cultures, it is a part of our history, and we will live with that. But if there are going to be discrepancies in the eyes of an outsider, then they must bear in mind of what we have been through, what our history is, and how we are still working towards keeping it together and still trying to make progress.
I mean, modern India is a young country in a sense,
indeed.
isn't it?
It is just about 65 years from independence. And if you have to compare us with the rest of the world, then do compare other countries that have had just 65 years of independence and where they are and where we are.
Earlier on in your career as well, you took a break from the movie industry. You yourself went into politics. You were hugely successful in a regional election, but after a couple of years you resigned, you left politics. Why did you give up politics?
I don't know politics, and I realized that after having won an election, I was not qualified. I had entered politics on an emotional note, and soon realized that emotion has got nothing to do with politics, so I left it. I have accepted that as a failure and moved away from it, never to go back there again. You
would never think of doing it again. It's interesting because to an outsider, Indian politics looks incredibly complex. There's clearly corruption on some levels. Do you think that means that it's not actually attractive for people to enter politics in India at the moment? Is there a feeling that it's almost a grubby thing to do?
No. We have some very intelligent minds in our political system, and yes, we are dealing with corruption, and I feel very confident that we will be able to, as time goes by, eradicate it. These are factors that exist in almost every other nation, and maybe it's highlighted today because India is becoming a focus of attention for the rest of the world as far as its growth is concerned. We've had a liberalized economy which was brought into practice about 10-15 years ago. The very factor that used to be looked upon as a negative in the country was our population. When you have 1.25 billion people, I remember the time when there was almost criticism. You have a very large population and you can't cope up with it. But that's the very factor that now invites consumerism, and that's the factor that is adding to the growth and to your economy, because when you sell 1.25 billion toothpastes, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but the fact that it's so big and there is so much consumerism, I guess, is almost part of the problem. It's almost a vicious circle, isn't it?
It is, yes.
It's how to manage that and have the right people in the top jobs, and you have to encourage them and attract the right sort of people.
A very diverse country. I doubt if this kind of diversity exists in any other part of the world. It is tough, it is difficult, but I think that with our political leadership, we are going to overcome that.
Your family were very great friends of the Gandhis. I think you're quite good friends with Prime Minister Modi, is that correct? Or you encounter him, obviously, on occasions. I mean, where do you think your political
I did a campaign for him for his state when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat.
Gujarat, yeah.
And for tourism. That's the association, and he's Prime Minister of the country. Everyone wants to know him.
Would you say you were able to articulate where your political heart lies at the moment, even though you don't want to enter politics? Do you have certain beliefs that align with a political party, or do you try to stay?
No, I think I have the right to remain silent on what my beliefs politically are. I think sufficient to say that I believe in the political system, I believe in democracy, and I believe that India is on the right path for the growth it's presumed to be taking now. How
important is faith and religion to you?
I believe in some kind of a force, which is a superior force which guides us. I will not say that I'm not religious, I am, but I would not flaunt my religion on the streets or in an interview. I'm okay with it within the four walls of my home, and that's about it.
Amitabh Bachchan, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera. Thanks very much.
Thank you.